David Hood with TigerNet.com. It was kind of obvious you didn't need a mic out there today. How have you settled in with this defense, and how have you gotten to know your players?
It's a process. To me, it's just about daily. At this time of the year, you're with them. A lot. With the meetings, but you're just trying to. In the weight room in the mornings. On the off days when we're not practicing, just a chance to connect. You see things on film. You're able to reinforce, challenge, motivate. I think those are important times. Obviously, the time I spent, when I first got here, getting to know them, laying that foundation relationally was big, and then gave each one of those guys different books to read for different things, and just to be able to follow up with that, and just to be able to continue to pour into them as a man, and then just making sure, that they're doing the little things right, preparation-wise, things you see on film, and be able to reinforce more than anything. It's really the response, how they handle, being corrected. Those are all just, to me, relational things, because when you build that trust with the players, then when those times come, the response is different. So to me, that's really what this is really for, as well as the obvious of building the scheme, knowledge and understanding, and that's a process that right now we're still installing, and we'll have new install again, for our next practice on Friday. So those are just things that you're just doing at the same time. Build relationships, build knowledge of the system, and build confidence. And right now that's about this team needs to build, all those things.
When we talked to Wade Woodaz, he said that the first thing you told them was, we're going to play with great effort, and we're going to stop the run. How much, when you evaluated Clemson's tape last year, was the run, stopping the run, the glaring issue?
Yeah, it was an issue. The numbers don't lie. You watch the film doesn't lie, and so it became, a reoccurring theme each week. And we go through and you have, you do your, we call them your cut-ups that are made up by plays and by calls. And then you also organize them by explosive plays that you give up. And when we had all those explosive runs, just the misfits in the run game, and not being, gap sound, for whatever reason, that we were trying to, we go through, we had 4 different categories to say, okay, why do we feel this, play was the result that it was in a negative way? So, and then identify those and group them that way, and then go back and try to make sure that we're doing a great job drill-wise of getting those things correct. Obviously, it's a different scheme, but you also have a lot of the same players, so you want to just make sure that, a lot of things I felt like were just, just guys out of position. And like I said, it's not about pointing fingers on that. It's just trying to say, okay, this is why this play occurred. We got to make sure that we get these fixed. Because obviously some of them are just fundamentally, you got so many gaps. Every defense has gaps you got to defend, and so you got to be very, very gap sound, and you got to be very physical at the point of attack. But the biggest thing is just making sure you get your cleats in the ground, you're set, you're ready to play, and you have great knowledge of what you're supposed to do. So if you're not quite sure what you're doing, you'll be out of position. And then against elite athletes, you have no chance to tackle them in space, So it's kind of all the above kind of things. But I think the glaring thing was, the gap fits were not consistent. And that's something even again today, all the drills that we do from individual to group to team have to align with that.
It seems like, Will Vandervoort, by the way, Clemson Insider, seems like the theme out there this whole spring is tackling. It's very important. You're emphasizing that. Can you speak to that, and how do you fix that?
Yeah, well, so, we talked about, we have 3 DNA. I think I mentioned this when I first got here, takeaways, tackling, effort. It's a simple formula. That's our DNA for our defense. And obviously the second one of those is tackling. Tackling fundamentals, to me, showed up on film, and talking about the things that stuck out. Tackling was the top of the list. But that also comes when you're out of position. You miss those tackles, when you don't have your feet in the right spot. So much is about foundationally getting, we're going to close space. We're a shoulder tackle team. We're in close space. We want to be able to get in position to scallop. We're close to the back. We talk about stepping in the Madden circle, which is being able to be within the yard of the ball carrier, stepping with that near shoulder, and then properly finishing. So those have been the emphasis. And so we try to isolate each one of those areas for different drills, and we just do them over and over and over again. And so you want to have a great foundation with the fundamentals of that, and then you want that to carry over into the group work, and then obviously eventually into the team. We had some live reps today. First time we've had live reps this entire spring. So that's when it really kind of shows up. You really can't tell for sure how much progress you're making. Obviously, it's way too early to tell. But at the same time, it's just about breaking down the fundamentals of tackling and making sure we have visual for it. We show them, different PowerPoints for each one of the phases of those things that I just described, and then you put them in those positions to go do it, and then you watch those films. We watch with our players, we watch those tackling drills, and obviously you're critiquing them throughout the process of great film. And so missing tackles, even in space, like for me, we don't do a lot of live tackling. I don't care where you're at, you're going to live tackle some, but you're not going to do it, all the time. And so that's why tackling in space with your, we call it thud tempo or tag tempo, which we call tracking here, is critical. And so we call it accountability for when they don't do it right. They don't finish in the right position in space, because that leads to missed tackles when it's live. So you're trying to maximize those opportunities during spring ball. So a lot of layers to it. As you notice, it's a huge priority, and it will be the entire spring.
Tom, Larry Williams, Tiger Illustrated. You said when you're not sure what you're doing, you're out of position. Based on your evaluation of, I guess, extensive evaluation of last year, how much did you determine needs to be simplified so they are more sure?
Yeah, I think that was a theme, and it aligns with what I believe. We're a simple system, it relies on the ability for the players to have, a mastery of what we're doing schematically, so that you can now spend the time working on technique and fundamentals in practice instead of just trying to teach scheme all the time. So that's just a philosophical difference of what we're going to be doing here now. And then also even the tackling piece. You spend way more time on tackling when that's your focus, when you're not spending as much time on the scheme. And then also you get to be able to teach your guys how to play the game. You teach them to anticipate situational football, anticipate the things you're going to see out of the offense, the backfield sets, and reading what they're doing and being able to study that instead of just spending all your time just trying to make sure you know the next call and how to execute that call. So when you have less things that you do, that allows you to spend more time on technique and fundamentals and more time on teaching them how to play the game and how to anticipate what the offense is going to do through film study and preparation. So yeah, we're a much simpler defense and by design, but that's what we do, and I believe in that. And I think you want to get the guys to play extremely hard, extremely physical. That becomes the focus, and then the scheme is just fundamentally sound. And then you obviously do a great job of disguising things so that they can't get a beat on you defensively, and that's what we're going to do.
John Summers of SBA TV. What does Ben Boulware bring to this coaching staff, his relatability to the guys? He was one of them not too long ago. It seems like he's kind of in his element working with them.
He truly is. I think what he brings is he brings a toughness. He brings just a mindset that you want in all your backers. I think you walk through this building, he's all over the walls, and that's pretty cool, but both in pictures and the storytelling that's done with the video and some of the scripts on the wall. So I think there's immediate respect from your guys, and they can watch him play. He watch the cut-ups and watch his own highlights of him making plays in critical times and in big stage and at some of the biggest opportunities and moments in this program's history. So when you have that kind of guy in the room, it's great for me. So it also allows me to be able to go from room. I've been in every single position meeting room at one point already in the start of spring ball, and that's by design. And but just having been here, man, I love his mindset. He's learning the system too. So I'm teaching him everything, and he's a sponge with all that. But he's very smart. But he's got an edge about him, and that's what I love. And our linebackers have got to be lead. They got to be able to produce. It's the two key things I want our guys: leadership, production out of our linebackers. And he had both as a player, and he's demanding that of these guys, and he's really tough on them. But you can be really tough on a guy when he knows you care about him, love him, and are going to be able to prepare him for life and the things that matter most. So he's holding his guys at a high level of accountability, and he brings toughness to that position, which we desperately needed.
Going through the processes of these practices, what did you see as far as like a pleasant experience that's been going on that made you happy to see as far as a coach?
Yeah, I think I even said this to Coach Sweeney earlier today. I just think there's a really high care factor from this group, which is awesome. And the desire to want to be great and want to be special and want to be an elite defense is really, really strong. Now we got to get them there. We got a lot of work to do to get to that point. But I think that's number one. Number two, they practice really hard. The effort piece to me is huge. It's the one thing you completely control because nobody can decide how hard you're going to play except for you. And they're buying into that. They're practicing really, really hard. And I think the other thing is we've got some talented players, at all three levels, up front, at backer, and in the secondary. But we got to find the best group of guys, and we're going to play a bunch of guys by design. That's what I want to be able to do, and I think that's going to be big for us, in games and throughout the length of our season. So, but I think those two things stick out the most. And the final thing is I do feel like that we have a team that has the ability to be a physical team. I don't think we're as physical as we needed to be in this past season, at critical times, especially against the run. But I think this is a group that is going to buy into that. I think Ben's going to be a big part of that in the linebacker room, and then obviously at all three levels as well. So we're just going to really, do a really good job of growing that desire to want to be a physical team, so it shows up on game day.
Quick advisory, Khalil Barnes and Avion Terrell are out front, if some folks like to go off and speak with them, but we'll continue in here as well with Coach Allen.
Some early thoughts on Sammy Brown and Wade Woodaz?
Yeah, I think Wade's our leader. I think that's been awesome to see. That's sometimes a tough component to develop if it's not there. He naturally has it. He's earned the respect of his teammates to speak. I always say you got to earn the right to speak. In that role, to be able to challenge and motivate a teammate, especially when things aren't going the right way or a guy's not upholding the standard. And so I've seen that out of him. I've seen just a strong desire to want to learn and grow. I think Wade just needs a ton of reps playing in the box. He can run and he can hit. I told him this morning, but I want to see him continue to study and prepare and just grow as a linebacker with reads and keys and getting off blocks and playing in space. And so, and then Sammy to me is very, very naturally instinctive in the box. I think that's it showed up early in our thud periods and then even in today in the live periods. I mean, some guys just have that knack just to be able to be in all that, mess that's in the linebackers in front of him with the D-line and the O-line, everything coming at you. He just finds a way to get to the ball. So, and he's also a good tackler. I think his wrestling background is big a part of that as well. But I just think that he has a lot of natural talent. He just has a high ceiling to me that has a lot of room to grow. And I think his opportunity for growth is going to be tremendous because he really, really cares a whole bunch, practices super hard, takes hard coaching really, really well, and he's a very, very intelligent guy. So he's got a chance to be I think he's got a chance to be a great player. And he's got tremendous work ahead of him, like we all do, but I got big, big expectations for both those guys.
Setting the edge seemed to be a consistent issue last year for them. What's your sort of evaluation of that, and will help? I mean, what do you think he can bring to the edge that they didn't have last year?
Yeah, I think just structurally, I think you can see that when you watch film. Not having an edge anytime, cost us, last season, and gave up several of those explosive plays. So that to me is, you go back and say, okay, was it, a schematic issue? Was it a talent issue? Was it a technique issue? Was it, poor effort? But bottom line is we have to structurally address that. And so that's what's a big part of this. On every one of our calls, somebody's the edge of our defense. And we got to make sure we're doing a great job of playing with technique and doing our job. And so even today, this is when we did it the right way, we got the great result. If you don't, you get a negative result defensively. So I think that's about being disciplined. It's about being physical as well, but it also goes back to saying when you know exactly what you're doing, that confidence is high in your knowledge of your scheme and where you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to take on that block. It's going to allow you, I think, to do a better job of setting an edge. And so, because when I do my job and set an edge, then the guys come from the inside with great effort and great angles are going to get to the ball. And so we're really, really emphasizing that as well. So, you eliminate explosive plays by great execution and great effort. And so to me, that's really going to be big for us. But when you talk about having edges to your defense, that's really more about just executing the scheme. Because most calls, someone's supposed to have it. But at the same time, to me, it's how you get to that point. And so I'm going to make it a huge priority to make sure that we always have an edge to our defense, and the guy that's got that responsibility does his job.
And then will help.
Yeah, Will to me is knowing him for a long time, being from Indiana, and see him grow and develop. He's a big young man. He's a big man. He's probably 265 pounds and just has so much length to him and so much toughness. He lives in that weight room. He's doing extra stuff all the time. Love his motor, high care factor. Just awesome young man. Really excited he's here. Really thrilled to be his coach. And I've seen him mature and grow so much in the last few years. It's been awesome to see. And I'm glad he's here. And I think that he's going to help us a lot. and he's going to have a big role for this team, and he's going to help us be a special defense.
Jason Priester, Clemson Insider. What have you seen from Jeremiah Alexander early in spring practice?
Yeah, so I think today was a big day for him. A couple packages that we put in for the first time that he was going to be in a key role in those, and so I feel like that he's a really good football player, trying to figure out where he best fits. I think that's kind of a big goal here for spring football. Another one that just, one of the two new guys that we brought in here that he has a tremendous desire to want to play. He's always in here doing something extra. Comes in here on the weekends on his own, which is awesome to see. He's always studying film, asks really good questions. Has a good football IQ. Is a very strong guy, and has some really good physical traits. So I'm excited about Jeremiah. I think he's just got to continue to work and develop. He's obviously learning a new system, like all these guys are, and I think that'll be big for him, his ability to transfer that to the field. So, but another guy that's going to do great things in our program.
Darian Carter of Greenville News. Wade Wood has shared that you tackled Corian Gibson after a big pass breakup on day one of spring practice. How have the guys kind of responded to your fiery side that comes out times throughout?
Well, I mean, I just think, they take on your personality, I think that's how it works, and just, I love what I do. I feel blessed to be a coach and be in this position. It hurts a lot more afterwards and the next day than it used to as you get a little bit older, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from getting after it with the guys and getting after them when they need it, from a correction or accountability perspective, or just celebrating with them, and I am more careful of my teeth than I used to be, but that is something when you jump on somebody, I'm always trying. It's kind of nice to have those things on their helmet now, so that protects my teeth, I just want to be able to, let them know, hey, we want to play with passion and energy, and I can't just talk about it, I got to be about it. And I think our assistants as well. We had a big play the other day where we caused a fumble during inside, and you just saw the whole coaching staff just explode onto the guys and coaching every rep and just flying around as coaches and getting these guys to play that way. And they're just, to me, there's an intensity and a passion, a fire you got to have to play defense. And so that's the way I coach, and that's just the way it's going to be. So I'm glad I get to do what I do because it's pretty fun.
You've had the Husky and the Lion. What are you going to call it here?
It's the Tiger.
The Tiger. Okay.
It's
And
the
then,
Tiger.
do you have anybody that you've kind of already scouted? I mean,
Yeah, we got several guys. Shelton. Lewis is a guy that's been there as well. Tink is a guy we had been on offense, and now he's on defense, and we're getting a chance to see. He plays both sides. He actually goes on both sides during our team periods. He's got some good reps there. Khalil Barnes is another one that's going to play some there. He's not played there yet, but he's played there in the past. And he's going to be. He just walked in the room, and so he's a guy that's going to get some reps there as well. So it's an important position for us in our defense. But yeah, it's the nickel position, and when we get into third downs, we call it the star. But on base downs, it's a Tiger position. And like I said, we've had different names for it in other places, but it allows us to be able to do a lot of things schematically that are really critical to our system. And we got several guys that are vying for playing time there.
You talk about the talent you have at all three levels, and obviously you coached at IU, coached at your Penn State. How does the talent, do you think, stack up here compared to what you've seen? Yeah,
I think that I like it. I like the guys we have. I think it's different places. Penn State obviously just playing in the playoffs, and obviously Clemson playing in the playoffs this past year as well. And that's the standard. That's where we want to be, and that's where we expect to be, and that's where this program wants to be in a position to win a national championship every time we take the field each season. So to me, we have the potential to be at that level, in my opinion. Right now, it's about developing the talent that we have and having depth, and that's going to be a major priority. I think right now our first group is really on par to that. I think we got to get more guys in each position to step up and be developed to allow us not to have a drop off when one group comes out of one position, group individual comes out, and the guy takes his place. So to me, when I say ones and twos, they got to be ones. And so we got to have two guys that are positioned we feel like can play at that consistent level, and that we're not to that point right now. And so, but I do feel like that the potential is there for sure. And so I'm excited for the guys that we do have. And I'm excited, a guy like Amari, I mean, he's coming here as a freshman and does not look like a freshman, and just doesn't play like a freshman. But there are times when he does, so, but there's times when it's like, wow, that guy's really different. So, but that's exciting. But at the same time, there's a bunch of guys that have been here for a couple of years even that need to be taking their game to another level. And that's going to be our job as coaches this spring, this summer, and into training camp, because in order for us to be at the level we want to be at defensively, we got to have a lot more guys be developed. So I'm excited about the talent we have here. We just got to develop it.
I'm just wondering, it's kind of a goofy question, but like grass you boys, I remember you telling us about like your vocal cord care regimen. I guess like what do you actually do?
Oh yeah, so I basically have, they call it I got calcium deposits on my vocal cords. You know, so there's really nothing they can do about it. So I have I use honey and lemon and tea after practice that they make for me, and then I use these different throat lozenges that have honey in. Honey's kind of the common denominator to try and get them to where I can. And it usually comes back in a day or two, and then I lose it, and then it comes back, and I lose it, it comes back. You know, so but it is what it is. Technically, it's called nodules on your vocal cord. So, but they can't. Nothing you can do about it. So, not life-threatening. It's just a little hoarse, but a little inconvenient. But doesn't affect anything.
Are there any players that have surprised you? You're like, okay, he's better than I thought he would be, or have kind of caught your eye early on?
You know, I would say Will Help to me is his growth in the last few years has been impressive. You know, even from we played against him. You know, when I was at both Indiana and then at Penn State, and his growth from his freshman year to last year was extensive. I feel like, and even just from then even till now, you know, he just continues to develop. So that's kind of like, you know, because he had a chance. I not coached against the guys here. You know, I obviously physically see him in person, and that's impressed me. You know, which is an awesome thing. So I think that you know, a guy that probably the biggest one that might stick out to me is you know, I do feel like that Khalil Barnes is a guy that I know he has had success in the past, but he's a lot faster than I thought he was. You know, there was some bursts on film. You know, watch. I'm like, okay, I don't know if I even saw that. You know, even during the season this past year. You know, so and that's exciting to me because I really feel like that has to be. You know, whether it's a Tiger position or a safety position. I think Ronan as well, and I think he is really hasn't played a lot in the safety's position, but he has flashed to be like, wow, this guy's got something special. You know, he's got length and athleticism. As a matter of fact, I had to go back and really watch special teams to get a chance to really see him play in games. He played just a little bit on defense last year, so that's been a pleasant surprise. It's a guy we need to be able to step up, and I think you know, just you know, several guys. You know, I know that the obvious names. You know, T.J. Parker, obviously special player, but also practice habits. You know, I've been impressed by his practice habits. You can be a guy that plays well on game day, but man, I want to see a guy that brings it every day when nobody's around. And the work ethic on the weekends, and just, you know, I'm just big in what are you doing extra? You know, if you just do what you're supposed to do, yeah, that's good, but it's not enough. And so I want guys that do extra. And T.J. Parker to me has stuck out as that kind of guy. And I could go on with several guys with that, but I want to see more of that from everybody. And I think we got a chance to see that this spring, and I'm hoping these guys will respond. And so far they have, but it's obviously easier when it's just getting started. Obviously, when it just keeps wearing on and on and on, who can maintain that? It's going to be big.
Chappell Fowler with the state. When Dabo had his intro presser, he said he wanted you to kind of be the head coach of the defense. What does that term kind of mean to you when you hear that, and how does you think that helps like an actual head coach maybe free up more time and space during a game when you know you have a head coach of the defense for next season?
Yeah, you know, I think it's important. You know, and I like to give, you know, the coordinators that mindset when I was a head coach. You know, especially as a defensive-minded guy with the person that was in charge of the offense, and to be able to allow them to kind of just run that side of the football as if that was, you know, their soul group, which is what it is, you know. So, but at the same time, you know, he doesn't spend a lot of time in our meetings, and that's, you know, that's fine with me, you know. So it's just at the end of the day, I'm accountable for what product we put on the field and how we practice and how we're prepared, and he trusts in that, and so I do appreciate that responsibility he's given me. And so, but at the same time, you know, I know it's comes with a lot of weight in a good way. And we got to get this defense fixed. I mean, it's not been to the standard. I mean, you can go back and look at the numbers. They are what they are of the past, and they're really, really good. And then obviously it wasn't that way recently, and that's what I'm here to do. You know, and players, you know, they understand that, and I want them to feel that as well. And we all have to feel that, you know. And so coaches, players, everybody. It's about we. It's not one person. So, but creating that buy-in, as the head coach of the defense and treating them this way and being able to, create the culture you want. We're kind of really establishing that right now with how we're going to practice, how guys understand of how this looks. And when it doesn't look right, what we're going to do, how we respond when things don't go the way you want them to go. So that to me is what we're doing right now. And that's what the head coach of the defense has to do. And you got to be tough on the guys, and you got to be able to praise them, but you also got to be able to tell them the truth. And sometimes that truth is not what they want to hear sometimes, but to me, it's how you do it and the relationship you have with that person that you're talking to. So that's why I said in the beginning, those relational pieces are critical. And so that's what I take as part of my responsibility, is to build that culture, build those relationships so I can really motivate these guys and push them to be great every day.
You mentioned giving the players books to read to help connect with them. I guess what are the books you often give them? Is it a different book for different players?
Yeah, so basically, I'm a big, person of faith, and obviously this program aligns with that, which is awesome. And so a lot of guys that are kind of really trying to figure some things out in that area. I gave, Tony Dungy, I'm a huge, fan of his, and I have a good relationship with him and so much respect for what he did. He's written an uncommon devotional book that I gave to a bunch of our guys that are trying to grow in that area, which was awesome. And also Mark Batterson is an author that wrote several books, and one of them's called All In, one's a Circle Maker, and one's Chase the Lion. And so based on where these guys are at in their lives personally, I gave them those books. Relentless is a book by Tim Grover that was the one that trained Kobe and Michael Jordan and D-Wade. And so I gave some guys that book as well. And so just different books to be able to help them personally, spiritually, motivationally, relationally, for me to connect with them. And so be able to give them those books to read, and then now you be able to chance to talk about what they're learning from that. And I text the guys as well. I'm a big John Gordon guy. I really have always believed in the way he led things. And he has a book called Training Camp that I use a lot of principles from. I text our guys. And I individually text all of our defensive guys on a consistent basis to be able to connect with them and send them things to try and build this mindset that we want to have as a program, and how we want to be able to handle and chase after greatness every single day. And I'm big on that. And I want these guys to be wired that way. And I want to hold them to that. And I get them to be able to tell me what they want, then I hold them to those things. And when any time their lifestyle or their actions don't align with that goal, then I got to address it. And I'm not afraid to do that. And so I just think that allows me, because I believe the word product is the books you read, music we listen to, and who we hang out with. It's what you fill your mind with, it's who you associate with, that's who you become. And so I'm helping them fill their minds with things that are going to help them become a better man, which I believe is going to translate to help them become a better football player, because their habits are going to align with the things that are going to allow you to be special in this life. So all that stuff goes together, and that's just part of who I am. And I've done that a lot of places I've been, and I believe that and these guys here really, really respond to it, because I think there's an alignment culturally to what they've chosen this place for. And Coach Sweeney, obviously, at the forefront of that, and the culture he's built, like even some things that I believe in. He's got it plastered all over the walls. It's very aligned with the way I even have talked to my players for the last 30 years. So that's exciting for me. And so I don't try to repeat the things. I just try to be an extension of the messages that he has. And I always tell my guys, hey, if Coach Sweeney felt it was big enough and important enough to put on the walls of this building, I want to make sure, like I take pictures of a lot of those things, and then we talk about it. Because sometimes you can walk past them every day and take it for granted. So I don't want these guys to do that, because there's a lot of great stuff that's been posted that I think is great reminders about what it takes to make yourself an individual that's going to be chasing after being special and elite in this life and in football. So that's the things I use.
I know you've been very football focused, but just living down here, what's it been like? Have you gone to any really good restaurants, or just like the Clemson experience in general, like the living part of stuff?
Yeah, I know this isn't probably a sexy answer, but I love Zaxby's. And so we didn't have Zaxby's up there, not much in the north. And so when I was at Ole Miss, I used to like it, and didn't have them a lot of places I live. So, but no, just I've been several places. It's funny though, because I literally, with my wife, she's been with our daughter having our second grandchild. My wife's been spending quite a bit of time with her, which is awesome. But so my son, so he basically just says we go somewhere to eat, and we hop in the car together, get in the GPS. I don't even know where we're going sometimes. We get there and eat. So a lot of great places to eat. I love the weather. Weather's awesome, and that's a huge perk being here. I love that there's water everywhere. Just, it's a beautiful place. That's one thing several people said to me before. I said, I took the job obviously without even coming here. But I was told prior to getting here that it was a beautiful place, and it is, obviously. So I love that. So yeah, just a lot of great restaurants. Mellow Mushroom, I'm a big pizza guy. So I like their pizza a lot. Got it for the whole staff, the staff a couple nights ago. And there's several restaurants that I like. But I also learned this. Don't name too many names because then you offend the ones you don't name. So you got to be careful with that. But those are two. I've probably been to Zaxby's like 30 times already. So just went last night again.
It's a good choice.
Yes, it is. I love the chicken.
Big barbecue fan?
Yeah. I've not been to a barbecue place yet. You got any recommendations?
Smoking pig?
All right, good. There we go. I love it.
You been down the hill yet?
I have not. Okay, I've watched a lot of videos just to get some coaching pointers. I've seen some guys skipping down the hill. I've seen some guys when they jump on the little, that looks a little problematic. So I got to prepare for that. I've not done it yet, but I will definitely take some practice reps this summer.
Anyone else for Coach?
Just one other player note. Peter Woods, I guess, what stands out about him that you've seen?
Yeah, he's a difference maker. He's powerful. He definitely is better inside. He's just a guy that's got a rare combination of power and explosiveness and twitch and a really big body. He moves laterally quickly. He's able to do some things that a lot of guys can't do. So he's pretty unique and special. And so to me, I think that the biggest thing is we're just trying to get him to the point where he can play at a high level for more reps. That's what I want to see him do. I want him to be able to be in a position where he can play at a level I know he can play at and do it consistently. And I just think that he can be as great as he wants to be. And so love him, love how hard he practices, love how hard he works, and he's buying into the things that we're challenging to do. And I think I know he's really excited about our scheme and how we're going to play him. And I think that it's going to maximize what he does best. So we're going to be able to allow him to be very aggressive and very attacking. And I think that's going to fit him really, really well. So, and he's one that I'm, very, very excited about. And he's going to be a game changer for us.
Drew Landon from Clemson Sports Media. What would you say stands out about this freshman class of defenders?
Yeah, I just think that, Amari to me he's the biggest one that stands out. So I just think that he's, very, very unique in regards to just not many guys can walk into a college of this caliber and our standard of performance on game day and physically stick out. Be like, hey, who's that guy? And so because it's one of those things where even though I knew who he was and met him, that we did our first mat drill workout, I was just like, man, he's bigger than I thought he was. And so and he moves so much better than even watching his high school film. So I was like, this kid's unbelievable. So, but yeah, he's really, caught your eye. But I just think like anything else, you bring in guys here that are going to have a lot of accolades in high school, and that's great. But at the same time, it's what you do once you get here. So those things all get erased. So it's a good group that we're going to have. It's a great foundational class to be able to build off of my first year here, and to be able to develop those guys. And obviously what they become is what matters most, and how they finish, and whatever their star rating is when they leave, that's the only thing that really matters. I think that they align with what Coach Sweeney's built here culturally, which I love. And it means you get guys here that are here for the right reasons, and now you just got to develop them as a staff. That's what we're going to do.
And for the freshman class, what do you get to get the nerves off them because they're going into their first game of the season?
Yeah, that's one thing. It is challenging. We don't have preseason games. I know coaches we've talked about it as a staff. It's definitely one of the unique sports that doesn't do that. So these live reps, situations, even the spring game. That's why it's important, I think, to be able to have that environment for our guys. I know some people are doing different things with that, but for us to still keep doing that, I think it's important to be able to get them in that environment, to play in front of a big crowd in our stadium. I think helps kind of get some of those nerves out a little bit, because at the end of the day, there is no opportunity before LSU game to be able to get that out. So I think it's just applying pressure to them, during the workouts and making it hard, because it's one of those things, once you get in the games, the crowd just kind of, the noise is there, but the crowd just kind of disappears. You just play ball. You're playing ball. And it's the same way for coaches, So, but I do think that you get it mentally, physically tough to where they're just playing the next play, not worrying about what's going on around them is part of the maturing process.
Is this a different challenge for you than Penn State? Because they were already.
It's different, yeah. So, Penn State was unique. You know, you go in there and you got a defense that was, you know, top 10 defense and already, and that was, you know, unique challenge in of itself. But great opportunity. Loved my year there. Great players, great coaches, great season that we had. And then you come here and you have a place that has been at an elite level and then has a year that wasn't, you know, and even you kind of see a little bit of a, you know, the last couple of years probably where some things even just, you know, statistically weren't matching up, and it kind of really, you know, showed itself this past season. So yeah, you got to rebuild confidence. You know, that would be a big difference from going there where there was a ton of confidence that those guys already had. And here you don't have that. You don't. You just call it what it is. It's not there. And it's, you know, it's one of those things where you can see it in the guys where you make a play, but then if they don't make a play, you can see an immediate difference in the demeanor. So that's what we got to really work on. You know, to me, is you have to get them to be able to, you know, have we just don't blink. Nothing phases us. I don't care what it is. There's nothing that anybody can do that can have any negative effect on us unless we allow it to. And so that's why I'm spending so much time building that. And you build confidence through have a system that they can believe in, that's simple enough for them to execute, learn, and then have success in practice. And just praise the heck out of them when they do it right, hold them to high level accountability when they don't, but just keep teaching them. And that's where there's a relentlessness to your approach that I think builds their confidence, because they often have to know and understand that, hey, it's about the next play, not the last one. And so I just think that that's probably the biggest difference, and you have to be able to build it over time. And then also it's unique because you're going against, you know, some of the best receivers in the country and one of the best quarterbacks in the country, you know, every single day. And obviously during spring practice, you know, yeah, you're going to work on your run game, but, you know, there's a lot. You got 7-on-7, you had team pass today, and so a lot of opportunities to throw the ball in space and make the plays in space. And so, you know, you get tested every day. And we got some of the best receivers I've ever been around on this team, which is awesome. I love that. You know, we got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I love that. You know, so because I know that's prerequisite to having a great team. You got to have a great quarterback. So I just know that we got to do a great job. We got to do our part of the end of the deal, and that is play great defense. You know, so got to build that confidence, and that's a daily process. And we're definitely not even near where we need to be, but I do feel like we're taking, you know, baby steps right now to be able to build that confidence in this group.
Got time for about 2 or 3 more for Coach if anybody has any.
I guess just building that confidence. I know you've had an aggressive defense in the past. I mean, allowing them to play with that mentality, do you think that helps?
It does. So when you keep it simple, it lets them play fast, and their confidence grows. You know, and so to me that's been the formula my whole coaching career defensively, is fast and physical. And when you keep it simple, the guys can process fast, quickly, and they can get their eyes right, and they can just go. When you're not quite sure what you're doing, you're not going to be near as aggressive nor near as physical, and you're going to miss tackles. Why? Because you're going to be out of position. So it just kind of snowballs. You know, so to me it all starts with a simple scheme that they can understand and they can master, and then you convince them, man, you play with just relentless effort every snap, no matter what, and that becomes the expectation. And there's so many times, you know, I watched, you know, first couple practice from a year ago, and I was just like, this isn't it. This is not the way this is supposed to be. And so, and we showed them. I showed the coaches, and we said this has to change immediately. And so to me, and that's where the energy and effort and how hard you're going to play, that to me is non-negotiable. So getting that set, that's the standard. If a guy doesn't meet it, then he's held accountable for that. And that's why post-practice things are going to be every day until we get that figured out. And so I'm never going to let up on that. And then the mastery of the system, that obviously takes time. You know, like I said, we do installs. We only did 5 calls at a time. I mean, they were shocked that we only had 5 calls in day 1 install. You know, I was like, that's it, that's what we're going to have. And so you get those, and then you master those, you go to the next, and then you just keep stacking. So, but I just think that's the formula, and they got to buy into it. We only got 15 days to do it for practice for spring, but then you lay foundations. You're going to be able to reemphasize those during the summer, and all things we're going to do that. A lot of those player-led opportunities, and then training camp becomes massive. And you got a race to kick off to be ready for for game one. So we got a lot of work between now and then, but that's where we're at. That's what we got to keep doing.
So you went back and watched past practice?
Oh yeah,
So what was it you said you liked?
effort,
Just effort. Yeah.
not to the standard. How you finish every snap, no matter what. Yes, every play. Yeah. So just demanding it, and then just proper finish, proper finish, proper finish, and that's just going to be. It's got to be a bulldog about it. And so yeah, because I wanted to know exactly, what I had to, address. So.
And one more for Coach, if anybody has it.
Coach, if you were able to build like a perfect Tom Allen certified like perfect player, what traits would that player have? Would you say?
Well, to me, number one, I would say that he has an unbelievable passion to be great. Throughout all the physical traits, when you get a guy with the right mindset, so I believe our mindset drives our own expectations and beliefs about ourselves. And so I want a young man that believes that if I do the little things right, I'm going to be an elite, special player. And obviously there's the physical traits that go into that, okay? But that's a mindset that you have. But you got to want that. And to me, it's like, okay, so the first step is wanting it. And then I want somebody that has the work ethic that aligns with that, okay? Is he willing to do the little things? I call it dirty hard work in the dark. Is he willing to do little things when nobody's watching? On Saturday, at night, watching extra film, doing all the little things in that weight room. I watch the guys work out. So when I'm doing I do elliptical every single day in the morning when they're lifting, and then I go down there and talk to them, see them, and I'm watching to see how they do each lift, the effort that they give, even when the coach is right there with them, or when he's not, especially when he's not. Do they do all the sets they're supposed to do? Are they getting the full? Is the technique done the right way? Full extension. And I pull guys aside if I don't see what I'm supposed to see, even things like that. Because I'm looking forward. I'm watching the kid even today. One of our coaches got on him, and I saw a negative body language from that response when he was corrected. So immediately went right over to him and addressed it. And so, but that to me is, I want a guy that, like I said, he wants to be great, but then he has the work ethic and then the proper response when he's challenged. And so those things, and at the end of the day, I think it's just a guy refuses to quit. That to me would just be a guy, I don't care what happens, he's going to fight and fight and fight and fight regardless. And just keep believing in himself and the guys around him and the people, and that's the mindset part, I said, is like the second thing. And so I think those things stick out to me, and I think we got a lot of guys like here that have those qualities. I really do. I think Coach has attracted guys like that. Now it's my job to be able to push them and take them to the higher level. Because we got a bunch of guys. We want to have elite defense. We got a bunch of guys that got to go from where they are right now up to here. And it's my job to get them there. And that's what we're going to do. And you do that by just consistent, relentless, attention to detail, and leaving nothing. You don't ever let anything slip. And that to me that's the key. Because sometimes you just get weary of that. As a coach even. And that's just human nature. I can't allow that to happen. And so, I got to do that with our coaches. So I'm coaching our coaches the same exact way. And so we do, and our staff, we're trying to get that accomplished as well, because I can't do it all. So they obviously have their influence in their position groups, but I'm the leader. I got to set the tone. So even that, I gave our coaches books to read, just like our players. Okay, I get each coach 2 of those books. Okay, and so same thing is just about what you fill your mind with, helping them become better husbands and fathers, being the men they were created to be. And that to me it's not just the players, it's the coaches, it's the whole side of the football. To me, that's what we do. That's what I do, and so I'm gonna keep doing that.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.